Banks Music.
What's going on, everybody? You know who it is. This is Alston, and this is the Alston Smith Real Estate Podcast, where we talk about real estate and we talk about lifestyle. And as you can hear in my voice, might be losing it a little bit. Had a sore throat, but we are back into it. First and foremost, sorry for the delay on releasing episodes. I know I missed maybe 2 weeks or so. So that is definitely my apologies. And, as a one-man show, it is hard recording, editing, producing, uploading, all that other stuff. It does get a little challenging sometimes. But it is what it is, fresh off of vacation, and we are back into it. Today's guest is a wholesale superstar. He is the OG in the wholesaling game, and he's coming on today to talk about how he finds deals, what he's doing differently, how he gets his offers accepted and in a competitive market. And he's just going to be talking to us about what over, I believe 900, I think it was, what over 900 wholesale deals have done for them. Before we get into today's show, a little bit of housekeeping. If you have not done so yet, please log on to AlstonSmithRealEstate.com. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so that way you can get the blogs, the articles, the videos, the podcast sent straight to you as we continue to share this sugar. And if you have benefited by listening to the podcast, please log on to iTunes, leave me a rating and review. Let's continue to share the message. Here we go. Without a further ado, let's get into the show. What's going on, everybody? Today on the Alston Smith Real Estate Podcast, we have an awesome guest. I had the privilege and the honor to meet this man once in person, and every now and again I'll touch base with him, see if he's got anything going on, any recent projects. Today's guest, he's done over 900 wholesale deals since 2003, so he has the experience under his belt, no questions asked. He's an entrepreneur, business coach, motivational speaker. We'll talk about all of that in a second. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Bruce Alston. Bruce, thank you for taking the time to come on the show, brother.
No problem, Alston. How are you?
Everything is well. We'll dive right into this. Tell us how you got started. Was it always real estate that you were doing? What was you doing? What were you doing beforehand?
No, I'll be totally honest with you. I started on Wall Street. I started on Wall Street at 19 years old, and I worked in and off the street for a while, and then in I'd say about 2001, beginning of 2000, around mid 2001, I got out. I got out of trading. I was with a couple of firms. I was with Lehman Brothers. I was with Guilford Securities. For one time, I was also with Gruntle and Company. And basically, I was looking for a way out to do something else. I got out and took probably about 18 months, 2 years off from really not doing anything. And then my father gave me suggestions about possibly looking to invest in tax liens, and he had been in real estate, and that really started someone came to me about one day, just came to me about they were having problems, or they knew someone that was losing a property. And I just realized that it looked like I could buy the property, make a profit off it, and I put the property under contract, and then I had someone else offer me a contract, and I said, boom. 2003, I started a wholesale business right in my condo living room, and I started really delving into it. And from that point on, within 3 months, I went from my living room to an office with two people working for me that quickly, and just started wholesaling homes, buying, flipping, and then I had touched into some contacts I had on Wall Street, and I started buying notes from banks. And one of the banks was Altiga Credit. They were up in Massachusetts, and I still remember my first deal with them. It was 112-114 Tier Avenue in Newark, and they had a note on the property. And what I did was I was able to buy the note. The note was worth, I think, $140 something thousand.
And when you sorry to cut you, and when you say note, just for the listeners, what exactly are you referring to?
I'm referring to basically the mortgage that was on the property. Okay, that's the mortgage note that was owed to the bank by the homeowner, right? I remember it was a lady by the name of Leroy and Ruby Strange. Her husband had passed. She was living in Florida, and the bank sent me all the information. I called her up and I said, "Listen, you have this foreclosure on you. I'm in the process of buying a note. Would you look to do a deed in lieu?" She did a deed in lieu. I sent the lady $1,000, ran title on the property. She quick claimed the deed over to me. I simultaneously bought the note from the bank for 22,000, and I think it was less than 2 weeks later I sold it. I sold the property for $133,000, and
So you're
that's
talking
how
about a profit of what is that, 110 grand?
110 grand, 110 grand.
So when and let's unpack that. And did you say that that was your first deal?
That was my second. That
Second
was my
deal.
no, that was like my third or fourth deal.
Okay.
But that
Okay.
was my first six-figure deal.
Gotcha. Okay. So we make 110,000 on one wholesale deal. Now, you mentioned purchasing the note from the bank,
Hmm.
which the note, like you mentioned, is whatever is actually owed, on the property.
Yes.
Um, so you bought the note from the bank, and you mentioned you did a deed in lieu of foreclosure. Can you
Yeah.
just unpack that and what it
So
meant
bas-
to quit claim, just for the listeners?
so basically, I told the homeowner, I said, "Listen, I'm gonna discharge your debt, right? But she had moved away from the property. She was living in Florida. I said, "Listen, I'm gonna send you a deed. I'm basically gonna be your I'm basically gonna be your mortgage company. I showed her the notes where I was being assigned the mortgage and everything, right? So I sent her that, and what I did was I presented her a check by, I think it was an escrow agent in Florida, and she signed the deed over to the property to my company. So at that time, I owned the property and I also owned the note simultaneously.
Gotcha, gotcha. So
So
you
I own full
basically,
rights to I own full rights to the property.
and you just took right over, took the, mortgage, right over everything.
Yep.
And one thing I wanted to point out is that, immediately some of the listeners might be like, well, where can I, find, a property that has, $20,000 where I can purchase it for $20,000. And one thing I wanted to point out is that, this
That was a
property,
whole. Let me say this right now. That was a whole different market when I was buying notes like that. It was
right?
a whole different market. That was 15 years ago. So I mean, it's a whole different game now. Altigra is not even in the is not even around anymore.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Hmm.
And the only other thing I was going to point out was just the fact that the property had equity. You know what I mean? Like there
Probably
was,
yes.
which is why, and we'll talk about just like the type of deals that you go after. But
Hmm.
this property had equity. Whatever was owed versus the current value at that state, whatever, whether it was distressed or whatever the situation was. You have that equity, and there's your threshold, and then therefore there is your profit margin.
Yes.
So as far as finding deals, what's your, I guess, go-to strategy if you had one or two? Because obviously everyone's not pretty much developing the relationships with the banks or anything like that, and that's a real, kind of intricate way of finding deals. But what are some of your favorite strategies of finding deals?
Well, one of the things I can tell you is that I consider myself the wolf of wholesaling. I consider myself an auction guru, right?
Mm,
And 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 this is proven. If you call Clear Skies Title up and you ask to speak to Victor Liu, right? Victor will tell you, um, Bruce generally bringing in about 5 or 7 deals per month, right? Last year with Clear Skies, I would say I think I did roughly about 75 deals,
Mm.
wholesale deals, right? 75, right? And out of those 75, I would say at least 65 were just auction deals, me wholesaling auction properties, right? The other 10 were me me knowing people, people calling me up, hey, you interested in buying a property? Maybe a couple more than that. But I know I did at least 55 to 60 just auction flips, right? And the great thing about auctions is what people don't know is that the key to a great wholesale deal is what you get the property for. It's not really for what you sell it to an investor for. Okay? So my strategy is a little bit differently. When I go to auction, I'll bid on a property, I'll win the bid. From that point on, right, what I'll do is I will look to what I will look to do is I will look to go back and beat the bank up over the price that they sold me the property for, or they're trying to sell me the property for. I'm not necessarily trying to get a reduction or trying to oversell a property to an investor. I'm really trying to um make my margin, right, from the bank who's selling me the property.
Mm. Mm.
You know, and that's what I think. You'll hear people say all the time. They'll say, "Oh, I'm buying this auction property, and oh, it's final." No, it's not final. If you go back, if you find some repairs, if you're creative enough, you'll get that bank to lower that property. And I can show you guys where I have had reductions as little as 5,000, all the way up to $80,000 in price reductions dealing with these auctions.
And that's while you're already under contract. That's after,
That's why I'm already under contract.
the now you mentioned auction. Are you talking about
I'm talking about
your city
auction dot.
auctions or your
No,
on
I'm
your website public
website
auctions?
auctions. I'm talking about Hubzu.com. I'm talking about auction.com. I'm talking about Castle Rock. I'm talking about HomePath. I'm talking about Wells Fargo's. All of them. You can, if you go online and buy the property, Bayview REO, you can get credits off these properties.
Now one of the biggest things that kind of surrounds auction properties is the need to have either all cash or a 20% deposit on whatever that purchase price is. Are you using your own cash to get you into the deal, or how will you
Well,
actually?
well, this is the thing: is some of them have a minimum of $2,500 deposit or $1,000 deposit. Okay. Um, what people have to understand is this though: is that the, this is why Austin there's so much co-wholesaling going on right now.
Oh,
The
it's
reason,
annoying. It's annoying.
let me tell you
It's
why. Is
absurd. I'll tell you a
because
story after that, but go ahead.
okay, the reason why there's so much co-wholesaling is that people are taking deals because they don't have that initial $1,000 or $2,500 to put up on an auction to get a property under contract. You follow me? So
Hmm.
they're waiting for a guy like me that I'll put the money up or have the skin in the game, and then they'll take a property, and then I'll say, hey, I want 100. Then I'll look on Facebook. Somebody else has got it for 107. Somebody else has got it for 115, right? And it keeps going on and on and on and on.
Right.
And it becomes a daisy chain, you know. So that's why, like I know if I give a property, let's say, to a guy like you or a guy like Jeremy Felder, right, or Reggie Robinson or Kirk Eady or somebody, hey, listen, I'm going to give you the deal, right? I'm going to give you the deal, and what you're going to do is you're going to say, hey, this is what the property is, this is what you want. Hey, Bruce, do I need to mark it up some, or is there something in there already? You know,
Mm.
so we'll work together. A lot of these co-wholesalers, they're saying they're talking to direct wholesalers. They're saying they're buyers, and they're not. You know, and
Right.
that's what's creating this. That's what's creating this hysteria right now. So my first rule is If you're going to wholesale, right, and you're truly going to be a wholesaler, you got to have earnest money deposit money,
Hmm.
or at least the bid deposit money. You have to have that.
Do you recommend a certain amount, or do you recommend where it's just like some of them offer 1,000, 2,500, and you're just like for a newbie at least,
See, this
it's
is
like
the thing is though, if you work it correctly, that money's refundable anyway,
mm, love it.
regardless if you close it out. If you work it correctly, it's refundable.
And that's what I tell people. And some people get so many, a lot of the jitters while submitting the offer. And I'm like, listen, like it's just the offer. If they accept it, and then tonight you have a terrible dream that everything's gonna go wrong, and you can still pull out, and you still haven't even probably even dropped your earnest deposit yet. So like everything is like a step by step basis. So you don't have to worry about. And like you said, like you have contingencies put in place where if something does go wrong, or all of a sudden something pops up where the deal no longer works, you can back out, you can get your money back onto the next property.
This is a little key advice I'm going to tell everybody. You know how you back out? There's mold in the house. There's lead in the house. I want out. You'll get your money back.
Now, do you have to have now? Is there a loophole to that? Like, for example, I
There's
know
not a
you.
house. There's not a house out there that doesn't have some type of mold or some type of lead or something that can get you out of a deal. If you're creative enough, you'll get yourself out of that deal.
Mm,
You will get yourself out of that deal.
lead paint. I can definitely see being in a house where it's hard to test,
Hmm.
where it's hard to test. Mold, I feel like somebody would be like, well, I want to see a picture, but not all mold develops into the black mold or the mold that
Who's saying the mold's not in the HVAC system?
ah, interesting.
You know what I mean? And the thing is that what people have to know is that when you become a wholesaler, you have to be very creative. And the jewels I'm giving you guys right now is the jewels I'm giving you that you use to go ahead and get reductions on prices on properties once you get them under contract.
That's awesome, man. I just learned something, and to piggyback off of that, I remember in the co-wholesaling aspect, I just wholesale a property over in East Orange,
Hmm.
and uh you know obviously it's my deal under contract. I'm marketing it. Next thing you know, what comes through my email, the property marked up, and it's like I find that so annoying. So I called them. I acted like I was like a buyer and everything like that, just to waste his time. Which ironically, I wound up wasting my own time. But it is what it is. And and I called them out on it. Eventually, I called them out on it, and I was just like, listen, it's one thing if you were like, hey, listen, I have a buyer on the back end. Are you willing to do something?
Hmm. Hmm.
Fine, totally respectful. Because then if I have something where it's not moving as quickly as possible, I have you in my database where it's like, hey, do you have, you build that
Uh,
relationship for the
I'm gonna give
longevity.
yeah, I'm gonna give you one better than that. Someone sent an email out yesterday, right? And I won't tell you what the group is, but a lot of people probably have this email. They sent the group out and they sent me an email and they said, listen, 179 South 7th Street, Newark, New Jersey. It's reduced by, we had it at 185, but it was reduced to 135, right? $50,000 reduction, right? I know addresses like I know, like more than anything. First thing I said to them was, I sent them an email back and said, FYI, just so you know, this property right now is currently listed on Hubzoo's website, and the current highest bid is 211,000. So if you can tell me how you have it at 135,000 and it's still being actively bid on, and it's 211, let me know. You know what I mean? Let me know. And they couldn't. Of course, I didn't get a response, but
Right.
it let me know that they were nowhere in the game. You know what I mean? They were nowhere in the game.
Yeah,
And
that's what I find that a lot of people, and that's the problem, especially for people that are looking to rehab or anything like that. The numbers are just, good wholesalers. Like I have one amazing wholesaler who's out in Philly, really really good, really good.
Mhm.
And up here, I haven't found that go-to wholesaler yet, so which is why I have to do it myself.
Mhm.
But the interesting part about it is, and just some of your deals I just can't afford. But
Yeah.
the interesting part about it is that the people's numbers just don't add up. Like they just don't, the repairs are just completely off, or like that's the thing that kills the wholesale business. And it's funny
See.
because I remember the property that you had on Eastern Parkway, the Four Family, I think it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Four Family.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
see it start to circulate, just like to your point, you see it start to circulate, and it's like this is Bruce's deal. Like I know whose
Mhm.
deal this is. Like why are you
Mhm.
acting like
Mhm.
it's yours? You know what I mean? Like it's crazy.
Oh, this is the thing is I tell everybody is that wholesaling is just it's all about the pricing. Like some guys got to realize this is the problem. See, when I started out, right, basically there was I tell everybody there's different levels. Okay, basically co-wholesaling is you're basically a bird dog.
Mm.
You basically need to be calling up a wholesaler and saying, "Listen, I think I might have a buyer. Can I make what are you paying?" Now, generally, what I'll pay is this. If and I think this is fair, right? What I generally do is if I get a property, let's say, for 100,000, right, and it needs 20,000 worth of work in it, right, and it's appraising at 200,000, right. I'm stretching the number. I'm trying to get an investor to give me 140. Okay, trying to give me. I'm sorry, 120, because they put in 20,000 in, right. I'm at 70% ARV, right, and they need to be all in. They want to be all in with repairs, no more than 70% of the property. So 70% of the property is 140, let's say, right? So of course they're going to try to talk me down some. So let's say they come down. They say, Bruce, we'll give you 120. We'll give you 115. Okay, 115 plus 20,000 repairs, 135. Everybody's happy. This is what happened now. On a $15,000 spread, right? There's no way in my right mind, right, that if someone else brought me that deal, a co-wholesaler, that number one, I put my money up as a deposit, right? Number two, I'm quarterback in the closing, right? You went and found a buyer, and now that you think you're entitled to half, that's just lunacy,
Mm.
okay? Because you'll find a buyer, okay?
Right.
Now, generally, what I tell people is this: $15,000 spread, right? That's what I'm making. I'm probably going to pay $2,500, 20% possibly, 20% of my wholesale fee.
Right.
I think that is more than reasonable for a buyer, for someone who just found someone, showed a property, and you moved on. Now, I tell people, I know people who do that, right? They do that 4 deals a month. That's $20,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once you make that 20,000, instead of spending it, you reinvest it in your business. You build your wholesale business up.
Perfect segue into the building of the business part. Um, are you doing any marketing to build the business? Are you, what, for example, for someone who's maybe looking to either, grab their first deal or, either set up a side business or anything like that, what do you think should be like the first thing that they do over the course of this next month or the next 30 days that can get their wholesaling business in order?
Okay. Let's. This is what I tell anybody. I think in my 15 years in doing this, right, I've never sent a mailer out. I've never done any bit of advertising whatsoever other than a website or something or posting or because I'm old school. My thing is this though. Let's take it for instance. Sometimes you got a herd of cattle, right? And you see all the herd running one way, right? sometimes you got to be smart enough and say, you know what? Maybe I should go around that herd and go the other way, because if I come around and go around, I'm probably going to beat most of the herd. I'm probably going to beat the back end of the herd. I won't meet the front end of the herd, but I'll probably meet the back end of the herd, right? And still be in good place. So I tell people, if you have 1 million people putting out bandit signs, if you have 1 million people sending out letters to people, right? And you're getting 12, 15 letters a day, what makes your letter be so, what makes your letter be, I got one sitting on my desk now. This guy is Home Investors, America's #1 home buyer. This is a company that basically sells franchises you real estate investing businesses.
Mm-hmm. So
Number
like
one
a We
home
Buy
buyers.
Ugly Homes.
Yeah, exactly. Like a We Buy Ugly Homes. Now, the funny thing is this, though. Someone paid good money for this program for someone to teach them how to go out. I won't say the gentleman's name. To go out, make letters on Home Investors letterhead, and send out to people. Now, the funny thing about this is, this guy wasted his money sending me a letter for a 32 Colonial Drive, Bayonne, New Jersey, that I sold a year and a half ago.
At one of my properties, me and my wife, we still get letters, and I'm like, first off, you can tell that first off, direct mail works if you know how to do it properly, and most people are just terrible at it. Like,
No.
you send me a mailer when I bought 2 years ago. How motivated do you think I'm going to be at this particular property?
Oh, this is exactly, but this is
Like,
the key. This is the key
There's
part.
not even there's not even a good chunk of equity. Like, you don't even know what equity we're working with. So like, you don't even know what, like, wasted mailer. Done.
First of all, is this though? People need to you start out. First of all, you start out in your comfort zone. Okay, it's just like if you're an athlete and you're let's say you're a basketball player, right? If your shot is the mid-range shot, you master the mid-range shot. Okay, if you're and the reason why I'm saying this is in real estate investing is very simple. You got to basically look at the map of your hometown and where you reside, right? Start trying to work in your circumference, your comfort area, right? Then you move outside. So, what do? Go down to the sheriff's department, the county register, and say, listen, get a copy, spend some time there, get the mortgage delinquencies that's filed for that week. They come in every week. Go get the default notices that are the lis pendens that are filed, right? Then start looking through there to see who you know or who you may know on these blocks. Knock on a door. Hi, I'm Bruce Alston. I'm a transactional real estate investor. Basically I come to homeowners, I try to assist homeowners who may be in jeopardy of losing their property. I've received some information from your mortgage company's attorney. Some people say, Bruce, that's a lie. No, it's not. That public filing that the mortgage company attorney filed at the courthouse is a public record. That's who I received that information from. So when you're talking to people and you say to them, hey, I realize that you have this matter with Fine Tuck. They're saying your original. People realize you're knowledgeable and you come to them as a person who's willing to help. Also, as a wholesaler, don't lie to someone and tell them that you're going to buy the property. I use the term transactional investor. They ask me, what is that? Is this? Simply is this. I may be in the position to buy your home, but I also work with a consortium of investors who pay me a fee if they're interested in acquiring a property. This will have nothing. You pay me zero. Stop coming to people as wholesalers as that you're one to buy their property, because in essence you're not buying their property. Let them know exactly what you're doing with terminology. So then you say to them, hey, for me to shop this property and get the best deal and work with your mortgage company, I need a contract. Hey, let's put $100, $10 on it. It's got to be held in escrow anyway. You sign, I sign. I need to let the people know that I know that I have a solid deal. Build your trust with the seller. Build your trust up with them. Let them trust you. Let people make money. If there's a way for them to make money, allow them to make money. If you're dealing with a homeowner that's facing a short sale situation, right? And and they're not legally able to get any money, say, listen, there is a way. My investor can buy the contents in your home, or he also can possibly provide a relocation fee. Off HUD. Okay? If you give them a check off HUD, there's nothing illegal about that because you're giving them that keys for cash because meanwhile they're still occupying the property. Post HUD, you can say, I want you to leave tomorrow, but I'm willing to give you something for the contents and help you with your relocation. There's nothing illegal about that.
Gotcha.
So that's what I say is as a wholesaler, you really have to manage the ship, manage what's going on, but you got to be able to control the deal. So that's why I tell people when co-wholesalers come to me, right? Hey, listen, I need to know who you're dealing with. This is the thing is now. I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you how good I am at this. A gentleman called me last week. He says to me, it was during the Passover holiday. Hey, my client, I got a buyer. He's hot. He wants to buy. I said, oh, really? He's all cash, but he can't do any business because it's the Jewish holiday, right? I said, so you got title? I sent him the title. Okay, he said what he's going to do is he's going to send a deposit in of $10,000. Title's clear. He's back on Monday. He'll close Monday afternoon. Now, Alston, I've been in this business a long time, right? If you can send me a $10,000 wire through your bank to the title company, you can wire the full amount of the purchase to buy the property.
Exactly.
Sure enough, right? I said to the person, oh, I sent you their proof of funds. He's got $3 million in the bank. You know what I said to him? I told him right here, I don't have to look at it. I bet you got that proof of funds for Signature Bank, right? He said, how do you know that? I already know. It was a proof of funds from Signature Bank. There's a co-wholesaling. You have to be able to vet your buyers too because there's this famous proof of funds that's been going around for years. It's called the Plan D proof of funds that everybody gives that, so I already know. These are the tools that a co-wholesalers are using to act like they're buying a property when they're just trying to tie your property up. I mean, I've been doing it a long time.
And the Signature Bank, is that one of the banks where whatever lending company, and for the listeners, the individual mentioned that he's got $3 million in the bank, X, Y, and Z, shows him a proof of funds letter. And basically, it's a generic default letter that not default, but generic letter that, a lending company will lend to the investors so that way when they do want to get into a transaction, faithfully and honestly, they can show that the bank or their lender has the money to complete the transaction. But in this case, this wholesaler is acting like it's his own bank account when in fact it's just this generic, proof of funds letter that circulates the community.
You called it.
And I know exactly how that is. Okay, so let's switch gears as we kind of start our descent here. Before I ask what's next, are you doing any flips or rentals or anything like that, or is it mainly just wholesaling?
Right now, I'm doing some mainly wholesaling. What I really like, I think people are, I think wholesalers and investors right now, they're really operating in a bubble. They're looking at areas like Jersey City, Newark, and they're going crazy with these prices, right?
Mm.
Where I think that in some areas of the state, like let's say like Trenton, right? That when you consider the Trenton taxes, right, and you consider where it's at, Newark and Jersey City were like that probably maybe 10 years ago, right? Newark has a surplus of homes, right? But they also priced even their one families where you can rent a one family there for let's say $1,200, right? And you're getting these properties anywhere between 20 and 30K. You're putting about 10 to 15 in it, right? And you're able to see positive cash flow anywhere between $800 to $900 a month net off these units, right?
Mm.
So I think that's what a lot of people are missing the boat on as far as doing buy and holds in the Trenton area. One thing we do see is this: Trenton has a lot of brick homes, brick row homes, brownstones. That's what people love in the urban areas. Trenton's also appealing to me because they've had this not only being a state capital, but it has a train system that gets you in and out of New York and Pennsylvania into Philly very quickly. Whereas Jersey City, the boom started once we got a light rail system within, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's areas that I think that are coming up. Another buy place right now is Camden.
Mm-hmm.
Is Camden. Camden's a serious buy right now because the money that's being poured into there. They have something like I think something where there's
There's a new
cap.
medical center that's being
Yep.
that's being built down there, and that's going to bring a lot of jobs.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's very So we as investors we have to stop thinking. We have to start thinking long term. Whereas my thing is my goal is very simple: own 30 to 40 units in Trenton, have a 5 to 10 year hold status on them. It'll generate positive cash flow. Generate positive cash flow, right? And I could possibly own these properties pretty much free and clear, right? And either keep them under a management company or sell them out later on when the boom comes, because it's definitely going to come.
right, right. It's I don't want to say it's inevitable, but I also am saying that it's inevitable.
Yes.
Like straight like that. The okay, so I was going to ask, what's kind of what my next question after that was, like what's next for you. But that right there is pure gold enough where people can just understand that Trenton and Camden are two potential gold mines that are just waiting to happen. And yeah, the other thing I was going to ask was what properties do you have available for sale? But instead, the people who are listening, because I don't want anybody to waste their time, whether the listeners or yours, they'll know how to get in contact with you. I put everybody's information out there so everyone can get in contact with who they need to get in contact with. If you ever did have a problem, you can contact me to find out how to get in contact with the guests. But Bruce has properties for sale. He comes into properties. So obviously, if you are looking for anything, Bruce is definitely there to help, without a doubt. And it's also part of his philanthropic mission, just in life, and being able to give back. As you can see with him, sharing the gems that he did today, because that's next level thinking, when it comes down to real estate investing and thinking outside of the box. So just wanted to point that out. But it's time for the core four, which are the four questions that I ask each and every guest
Hmm.
on the Austin Smith Real Estate Podcast as we start our descent. Question number one. Bruce, what is your favorite aspect about real estate?
My favorite aspect, I guess I would say it's the structuring of the deal. It's the structuring of the deal. Um, that's my favorite aspect of it. It's just negotiating the A to B, negotiating the B to C. I think that's my favorite aspect of it. Just the pure negotiation of it.
Awesome. Question number two. Favorite business or personal development book?
Um, it's very easy. Why should white guys have all the fun?
Why should
And
white guys have all the fun?
yep, it's a biography on Reginald Lewis, who some might not know, he was first black man to basically take over $1 billion company, become a billionaire with by doing a leveraged buyout. And if you take the principles of that business, you can see how you can apply them in business. I also like it is because I think in the real estate investing business, right, that I think that us as African American men and women, we're marginalized. We're marginalized to the point where I'll be very frank about it. I don't think um, that our counterparts believe that they don't think that we treat it as a business, right? That we look at it as a business,
Mm.
and that bothers me. It bothers me when I see a real estate investment seminar last week that Nick Tang arranged, and I don't see one African American speaker up there or presenter up there. That bothers me. When I
Mm.
know that there's many individuals like yourself who are more than qualified to be up there. It shows me that you know what people people organize things reflective of what they see.
Mm.
So it lets me already know that they don't see us as agents of knowledge or people who can provide valuable information or valuable content. But what amazes me though is when I saw those faces up there is how so many of those deal makers call me on the phone and seek advice or ask me for property. That
Mm.
bothers me.
Mm.
That bothers me. That's why I'm very I'm very willing to engage and offer advice and everything to anyone who asks, but especially black and brown people.
Love it, man. I love it. I gotta get a copy of the book. I'm gonna add that to the list. Question number three: when you're not out doing wholesale deals, uh, speaking, coaching, mentoring, what are the fun things that you like to do in your spare time?
Man, I'm home. I'm home watching TV, watching a game, or watching some movie, right? Eating Reese's Pieces, man. That's what I'm doing.
Straight down to the detail.
Yep,
I
yep.
don't
That's what
even
I'm doing.
knock it. And the final question, Bruce, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Facebook, Bruce Alston. You can also find me on my website, on my Facebook page, The Next Door Mogul. I tend to answer all my inboxes, right? All my inbox messages. I try to answer as much as I can. But if you reach out that way, you can find me definitely.
Awesome, awesome. Bruce, thank you so much for the gems that were dropped today. I'm definitely sure that the listeners can make some moves with it. Um, I've been looking into Philly, but Trenton, Camden are other places that I want to start focusing on. I mean,
Well,
I'm a buy and hold guy. Like I love the passive income. Well, not so much passive income, but
yeah,
I'll I'll say reoccurring income,
yeah.
and the rental income that's coming in. I like that for the security, and those are other markets that I can look into exploring. So here we
Exactly.
go. The grind continues.
All right, my brother. I'll talk to you, Austin. Talk to you soon. All right.
Bruce, thank you so much for coming on the show,
Thanks,
brother.
All right. You're welcome.